Wow. Just absolutely wow. That is pretty much all I have to say, just to sum it up in just a few words is wow. Growing up as a wrestling fan, and I know this isn't my normal sign on, I'm sorry, it's just kind of what I just saw was just, it was absolutely amazing. It's kind of life changing. It was really inspirational, I'm not going to lie. Um, but of course, DSG here. And on the WWE Network, I'm hoping you watched it. It's literally $9.99 a month, free for the month of February. So you should definitely go check it out. You'd be dumb not to because you miss the Stone Cold podcast. We'll get into Raw here in just a bit, but I want to get into my favorite part of the night, the Stone Cold podcast. It was amazing. It like I really don't know what much to say about it. Like Stone Cold gets to ask any question he wants, and it's not the product you see put up. K-Fab is out. It's them sitting down, having a chat, asking the tough questions, and having to answer it on the spot. And it really, if you're a true wrestling fan and and you kind of like the behind the scenes stuff, and you always know that there's always gonna be a twist and turn, there's always gonna be something they're gonna throw your way next, and you don't really sit back and complain about what's going on currently because you know they have to go somewhere with it eventually. Go back and watch that Stone Cold podcast. Go back and watch any Stone Cold podcast. Honestly, I love the one with Vince, but Triple H's will have to be my favorite. The passion, like honestly, I became a huge Triple H fan back recently actually. I mean, I've always been a fan of his work, but I started like as I've kind of gotten older, wrestling isn't just about the product that's in the ring. It's about the stuff that goes into it, the production, the passion, the training, the writing, like everything that goes into it is just amazing. So when I watched Thy Kingdom Come, the Triple H documentary on Netflix at the time, now on the WWE Network, it was it was awesome to see like how he went from just this guy who had a passion, from 5 years old had a passion for wrestling, all the way up to now where he is. He was terrorizing back in WCW, which I didn't even know that. That was something I learned. And as I got older, I've kind of thought about it in wrestling. My favorite wrestlers isn't really, I mean, I love when they perform and everything, but I like the fact that they have a passion outside of the ring. So, like guys like John Cena, the extra work he does, Randy Orton works his butt off, Dolph Ziggler, Zack Ryder, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Kurt Angle, the list goes on and on and on and on and on. They put that extra work in, and it makes it that much better because you know that whether you go out there and they get booed or they get cheered, they show passion week in and week out. In that podcast, honestly, like some of the questions, like he asked about CM Punk, Triple H just simply told him, like he wasn't Triple H for that very moment. He was Paul for this podcast, Paul Levesque. And they just sat down and had a genuine conversation. Of course, they still use their ring names of store because half the people, if you were talking about Daniel Bryan, you're like, oh yeah, well, Bryan Danielson did this. And they're like, who? And like different things like that if you're not a true wrestling fan. So I like how they did that. But it was amazing, and I'm not gonna try to ramble on tonight. I kind of like really loved everything about that podcast. The questions they asked, you never knew what question he was gonna ask. Honestly, when I first was gonna watch it, I knew it was gonna be great. I was excited for it. I wasn't sure what questions he was gonna ask. He asked all the questions, and Triple H pretty much showed that they do care. Everybody going on with that hashtag cancel W Network, all the people upset about where we're at today, they went in and, he basically said that they have to have somewhere to go. Also, that final question, and this was really cool to me. That he was also, always talking about the associations, all the different guys he named, like his passion for Eddie Guerrero, his best friend Shawn Michaels, Ric Flair, Owen Hart, who he'd ever faced was Buddy Rogers. Absolutely amazing. If you missed it, go back and watch it. It is on there right now. I'm looking at my screen. It's sitting there. Go watch it. It is amazing, and it will reevaluate your love for the WWE. I kind of lost passion and I lost my love for wrestling over the past few years because I stopped watching it. I didn't have cable, didn't want to pull up the streams. It just wasn't that exciting to me because I got more into what they were putting in the ring versus the stuff that went behind it. And that's what I've always been interested about. That's the reason I love doing YouTube, because I love being the creative. I used to love doing my WWE 2K15 or 2K14 universes because I got to make the stories. I got to do this. I got to do that. I got to make a product that hopefully you guys liked. And that is kind of how Triple H is, and it's kind of cool when you see like one of your idols and you actually, and I'm not trying to mark out or anything, but relate to them. And that's really cool to me. But one of the final questions that was asked was, is Triple H's last time in the ring, was it back with Evolution? And he said, I don't want to spoil anything. So I'm pretty sure you guys understand what that means. WrestleMania 31 and is going to be possibly one of the greatest WrestleManias of all time. Even though it's not even considered WrestleMania 31 anymore, they're not numbering WrestleManias anymore. But Sting versus Triple H, it's gonna happen. Bray Wyatt. Now let's go to Raw. Go back and watch the podcast. That's all I can say. I can sit here and ramble all night about how great that podcast, each and every second about it, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to let you go watch it. Then you get down in the comment section below, talk to me about it. Go on Twitter, talk to me about it. If you have a passion for wrestling, much like myself, then I want to talk to you. Comment section below or my Twitter, which will be in the description below as well. Let's move on to Raw. Raw was actually before the Stone Cold podcast, but honestly, like I said, that was like my favorite point of the night. And I know I'm sounding like really quiet and really stern and not trying to be funny or anything. It was amazing. Like, it re-evaluated my love and passion for the WWE. But again, like I said, I can go all night. But with WWE Raw tonight, great show. Two matches stood out to me the most, and that's Dolph Ziggler versus Bray Wyatt. Two phenomenal talents going out there and doing what they do best. And then, of course, Seth Rollins versus Daniel Bryan. WWE, and much like they said back, I'm going to keep referring back to the podcast, I can already see it. Much like what Triple H said, we get mad, we see something that happens, like the ending of the Royal Rumble, or we see Daniel Bryan get eliminated early on, or we see Ziggler get knocked out and thrown over the top rope, and we get mad about it. But that's a decision they made, not for now, maybe sometime later. They have to have somewhere to go. Like Triple H said, it's an endless book. There is no off season. After WrestleMania, they're right back in the ring Monday night, continuing from WrestleMania, the big, bonanza. And in my opinion, Raw, I'm actually looking forward to every Raw simply because what was said tonight. Like I said, guys, I'm not going to ramble on this all night. I just really wanted to give my opinion on the Stone Cold podcast. It is absolutely amazing. I'm actually, matter of fact, probably about to go back. I have never seen the podcast versus Vince and Triple H's, and I think I heard one more back when it was, just the podcast. But I'm going to go back and watch them all, just watching the questions, learning more about behind the scenes of the business. And it really just, if you are a true wrestling fan when you were younger and you kind of lost faith over time, go back and watch it. It'll reevaluate your faith. I promise you. I'm not going to sit here and mark out all night. Hope you guys have enjoyed. If you guys want more content like this where I sit down and simply give my opinion and let you guys debate or agree, I don't care. Voice your opinion in the comment section below or message me on Twitter. As always, like, subscribe, and I will see you guys later.